The state of Texas ending and extending its social distancing order while 28 students there in Texas have tested positive for COVID-19 after returning from spring break in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. Joining us right now is Texas Republican Congressman Chip Roy. Congressman, good morning to you.
Good morning, Steve. Good to be on the show.
It's good to have you as well. You're in Austin at the University of Texas, not far from where you're sitting right now. Apparently, about 10 days ago, 70 spring breakers chartered a plane, flew down to Cabo, and now 28 of them have tested positively for COVID-19. You know, people in Texas might think, oh, that's one of those things that's happened so far away, but now it's right there where you are.
Yeah, we got the news yesterday about this group of spring break trippers that took the trip down to Cabo San Lucas and came back and have tested positive. And obviously, our prayers and thoughts go out to those students. This happened after the World Health Organization had made an announcement, even just the day before. I know UT and the city of Austin and the state of Texas are all reaching out to the family members, trying to track down and see who interacted with whom. Some of them came back on commercial flights. I think most were on a charter flight. But right now, I think Governor Abbott is doing a fantastic job in the state of Texas trying to figure out how to manage this crisis here in Texas. We've had about 3,000 something positive tests, and I think about half of our counties have had an impact. But the governor's doing a great job. He's having to balance trying to keep our economy going and make sure, as he said yesterday in a new order, that essential services continue to operate. And if you look at the list of essential services, it's a lot of businesses because a lot of our economy is imperative for how our supply chains work and how we keep things going. So I think the governor's doing a great job of keeping things going while trying to make sure we're maintaining the distancing necessary to try to arrest the spread of the virus in Texas.
Absolutely, Congressman. You know, a lot of people think it's the president who can order states to do different things. He can make suggestions, but ultimately it's up to the governors, and every governor gets to figure out what is best for their locality. Meanwhile, you know, one of the things we have learned over the last month or so is the number of drugs and medical products that we have been getting from China. And then when, you know, there were all the troubles in Wuhan, suddenly we couldn't get those things. And, Congressman, you've got a plan to cut down our dependence on things that are critical for life here that come from China.
Yeah, Steve, this is something that I think a lot of the American people are starting to recognize that is a problem we need to address going forward. China, I think something like 97% of our antibiotics come either directly from China or have significant materials that are coming through China. But it's not just China, by the way, right? I mean, India, I think 40% of our generics come from India. And this is something we need to deal with. We've got a piece of legislation we're introducing, I think, this week. We're calling the Beat China Act, but it'll help us with all countries maintaining our ability to produce drugs here in the United States, or at least in our territories and protectorates. For example, we used to manufacture a lot of our drugs in Puerto Rico. And Puerto Rico is a United States territory. But that ended about 20 odd years ago because of a tax change. And so we've got legislation that would just simply fix that tax code so that you're treated equally in Puerto Rico as you are even in the domestic and continental United States. And if we do that, we can bring back a lot of the pharmaceutical manufacturing that left Puerto Rico in the early aughts and went offshore and went to China. We need to do some things. And I think some of my colleagues in the House and the Senate, Congressman Gallagher, Senator Cotton, have legislation that would enforce mandates to make sure that we have our manufacturing in the United States. And I'll look at that legislation. I think we need to do a lot of different things. But what I'm trying to do is find ways to incentivize and encourage manufacturers to make these drugs here in the United States or in our territories, where sometimes the price of manufacturing is a lot less than it is in the continental United States. We need to do it because these drugs are imperative for our national security and the well-being of our citizens. Right now, we got to get through this crisis. President's trying to lead us through it. Right. Governor Abbott and other strong leaders are helping us get through the crisis, and we'll keep working to do it. But we got to prepare for the future.
We absolutely do, and that's why that particular plan of yours would give us more control over our future and also bring back a lot of jobs. Congressman Chip Roy, who is hunkered down there in Austin. Congressman, thank you very much for joining us live.